Hey everyone, welcome back. So today I'm going to show you how to change a fuel filter and start your car after changing the fuel filter in a 4-cylinder 2.4 liter Camry, which is applicable to all 5th gen Camrys, 2002 to 2006, and also Corollas and all other Camrys. Not really sure about the date, but definitely up to 2012 or maybe even 2015 Camrys and Corollas. This video could also be helpful for other cars, other Toyotas as well, because the principle remains the same, even though the filter may be different in different cars, but the way the O-rings or the plugs go into the filter or into the mechanism will remain the same. The car also starts after changing the fuel filter, but there is a trick to it. It's an easy trick. You can do it at home. So that's it. I'll show you everything, including starting the car after fixing the fuel filter. So hope you enjoy the video. Thanks for watching. So the part number is 23300 0D030. So this is what I'm going to be using. 8 mm socket. That's the one. A screwdriver. A cloth. Some cleaning fluid. And that's about it. Now this is the fuel filter. I've already removed the back seat, and it's really filthy. This is the first time I've ever done it. But by the time I put it back, it will be as clean as I can make it, and replace these tapes as well, electrical tapes as well. I have no idea why they've been put there, but we'll see. Yeah, filming with one hand and opening with the other hand, so that's why the video may be shaky a little bit sometimes. Other than that, this is the procedure. Now put that rubber thingy through the hole so that we can remove the lid. And then after the lid is removed, we need to unplug. Okay, so after cleaning, that's the wire harness. That's the fuel pump hose along with the yellow C-clip. And yeah. Okay, so now to open the wire harness plug, put that screwdriver into that socket and pull towards the plug like I've shown in the picture. That's with one hand, and pull the plug with the other hand, and it just came loose. So this is what I recorded. I tried the other methods first, but of course that didn't work. But this is that method which worked, which I'm showing you. Okay, so now the next step would be to remove that fuel hose. But before we do remove that fuel hose, we need to remove that yellow C-clip. And before we can do that, we need to start the engine, or rather crank the engine. Since that wire harness is disconnected, the engine will crank and the pressure from the line will be removed. Okay, so here I'll be opening the fuel hose, removing the C-clip first. Then I'm going to show the bolt removal with my 8 mm socket. So this part of the clip will be about 6 or 7 minutes long, and if you don't want to see this part, then I suggest you can skip ahead about 6 to 7 minutes. better if you keep it there. Clean the carpet. It's gonna go back in like this. Okay, here we have the thing which came out from inside the fuel tank, and this is the new filter which needs to be inserted into the housing after removing the old filter. So this part just shows you that I'm just comparing whether the part which I bought matches up with the the one which was already inside the car. So I removed the black metal plate. It just came out on the bench. There it is. And that's the top part of the housing, plastic. That's where the fuel hose goes in, and that's the wire harness. And need to clean up a bit before we progress. Okay, so that's what it looks like after cleaning. And time to start dismantling. The first thing which we'll remove is this rubber gasket. And surprising, but after 20 years, this gasket still looks like new. And as I realized when I was fixing it all back, it looks new because we are not supposed to over tighten the nut bolts. I mean the bolts, the 8 bolts. We just need to get them to snug position and stop there. Okay, so the rubber gasket removed. Now, this is the harness plug for the float. We'll be disconnecting that, and then this is just attached to the housing, and it is also part of the wiring. I don't know exactly for what, but it's fixed into the plastic with a clasp. Okay, so now we'll remove the plug for the float, push down on that, and then pull out. Now we'll remove the bottom part of the float mechanism. Okay, so this is the new filter, and those are the two slots. That should be the same in the old filter. And basically, it looks like it needs to be pushed down for it to come loose. So there it is, it's come out. And this is what I'm showing you, that you need to push it down for it to come out. And that's it, push down for it to come loose and out. Okay, so now we need to disconnect the top part of the mechanism from the fuel filter. We have to remove these clips, and we take the help of a screwdriver to unclip. Okay, so now we'll see the first of the black removable black washers, which we'll be taking out from the old filter, along with another plastic attachment. I'll just stabilize this shaky video, and there it is. On the left, the plastic cap and the black washer on the top right. Sorry for that video. So now we disconnect the bottom part of the housing by snapping open these clips. Remove the black rubber cap from the bottom of the fuel pump. And now we remove the wire harness from the fuel pump, the black harness, the black wire harness, which I'm just showing you. Okay, so now we remove this metal part, but before that, the rubber washer and the white and the plastic cap with it. So the black rubber washer, and there's another part below it. It's a plastic part. Both parts now will come out. Next, remove the fuel pump. And while removing it, there will be the rubber washer above it and another plastic part, the same like the one which we removed earlier. So just be careful it doesn't just drop out. Remove the black rubber washer from inside the fuel pump housing as shown. Okay, so the proper sequence of how we need to fix these three parts into the fuel pump before it can go in. Just to let you know that this was the third time when I was successful. I had not attempted this part first, and of course, the car wouldn't start. It was having difficulty starting. But after I did this, the way I did this, one, two, and three, and I put it back all in, including the top part, which I'll show you next. That's when the car had no difficulty starting at all. So this is what we need to do with the lift pump or the fuel pump before we can push it back into the fuel filter. Very, very important. Otherwise, the car won't start. So now, as soon as possible, which is right now, I put this metal part into the new filter. So after that, I put back the fuel pump, and as you can see, it fits snug into its enclosure. And even when I'm tilting it down, it is not coming loose. It is not coming out again. That is the correct way. It's sitting snug into that hole. Now, this is what's going in the rubber cap. Okay, so the top part, that's part of the fuel line from which the fuel comes out of the tank. There are two parts to this before we can put the top back in. So the O-ring, jam it in place, and then the plastic part on top of it. Jam it in place. That's how there will be an airtight, fuel-tight seal without any leaks. And this is the second tip where if you ensure you do this and the previous one which we did for the fuel pump, the car will start right away. There will be no issues in starting the car. Again, I'm saying this because I did not do this the first or second times, and that's why my car was having difficulty starting. So clip the top part of the original harness onto the top part of the filter. As you can see, I've already connected back the black harness onto the fuel pump. And now it's time to fix this metal thingy. As you can see, the metal clasp has been fixed back into the housing. Now reconnect the float harness into the fuel filter. Reconnect the dots and push up in this case. Okay, so this black rubber cap onto the fuel pump, and now clip back the bottom part of the housing. Okay, put back this rubber gasket in the way shown. All done, everything put back together. Now it's time to put the entire thing back into the enclosure or into the fuel tank. Put back the metal plate, uh, screw in the bolts, but do not tighten the bolts. We'll tighten the bolts after the car first starts. And then also we will not over tighten them. And reconnect the fuel hose. Okay, so after reconnecting the fuel hose, I needed to put back the yellow clip. Okay, after putting back the bolts, keeping them loose, again, stressing the fact, keeping them loose. Time to put back the harness, the white plug. Okay, here I'm attempting to crank or start the car without taking any preliminary steps. And as you can see, the car won't start. It might fire up for a few seconds, but it'll die down instantly. So as you can see, you're not supposed to attempt to crank start before taking the following steps. Now the steps are, step one would be to clean out the spark plugs, which is what I'm going to do now. That's number one. Number two is if you haven't done so within the past few days or weeks, a couple of weeks at the most, clean the MAF sensor and also the throttle body.
So that's the first, second, and third step. Spark plugs, MAF sensor, and throttle body. And then we go to the key cycle. Okay, so ignition coils removed, and you can see the spark plugs are really filthy. Maybe it's because of that dirty filter which has now been replaced. And yeah, clean it and put it back. Clean them and put them back.
So after I put back the, or clean the spark plugs, put them back, clean the MAF sensor again, and also clean out the throttle body. This is the step which I took next. So number one would be the key cycle. Uh, the first step is you keep the key on for about 2.5 minutes. Leave it on, but do not crank the car. On for 2.5 minutes. Then when it's 2.5 minutes, you turn off the ignition and remove the key for another 2.5 minutes. And we do this for 4 cycles. I did it for 4 cycles. Then after that, so that's about 4 cycles would be about 20 minutes, I would say. After that is done, put the key back in again and give a small crank for half a second. Stop it and then give a full crank, and the car should fire up. Give a small crank, stop, and then crank the car. It'll start up. And it'll start up if you put everything in its proper place and everything is snug and tight. So that's about it. So that's what it was. Thanks so much for watching. I know it was too long, but yeah, this was really complicated. But there are just about 2 or 3 things which we need to figure out, which I have shown in the video. So if you want to DIY your own fuel filter replacement, then I hope this video is helpful to you. Thanks again. Until the next one. Bye.